Hidden in Montana's remote mountains, a colossal stone wall has emerged after lying buried for ages. Its blocks, some weighing more than 60 cars, rise in straight lines that look nothing like random rock. To one eye, it is the ruin of an impossible monument, to another, it is nature's clever disguise. But the mystery doesn't stop with its size. Subtle marks and strange features on the stones hint at connections far America's borders. What lies behind this massive structure remains uncertain, but its discovery has forced new questions no one expected to ask. The wall that shouldn't exist. High in the Montana wilderness, the Sage Wall first appeared like a mirage. For centuries, fallen trees, tangled roots, and layers of soil kept it hidden. Only in the 1990s, when landowners Christopher Borton and Linda Welsh cleared trails near Whitehall, did the structure reveal itself. Expecting scattered boulders typical of the Rockies, they instead uncovered what looked like a man-made wall tier upon tier of stone blocks in a straight line that seemed impossible to dismiss as chance. From that moment, whispers of Montana's forbidden fortress began, raising a larger question: how could such a monument stay buried in plain sight for so long? The scale alone is staggering. The wall stretches about 275 feet in visible length, almost a football field, and rises 24 to 25 feet high. Some suggest another 15 feet may lie underground, bringing its true height closer to 40 feet. Standing at its base, it doesn't feel like a cliff. It feels like a fortress, a retaining wall of some long-lost city. Even skeptics admit the numbers demand attention. Then comes the stones themselves. Some are estimated to be 90 tons each. That's more than the weight of 60 cars. They seem pressed tightly together with almost no visible gaps, rather like the seamless polygonal masonry of Sacsayhuaman in Peru. Granite rarely fractures into shapes as clean as these are. We usually see it breaking into irregular chunks. Yet here, the blocks have razor-sharp edges all lined up together as if built to last. To many, this arrangement looks deliberate, even somehow architectural. The location of the wall adds to the mystery. It lies solidly within the boulder batholith, a vast granite body assembled over several million years. Geologists assert that straight lines and rectangular shapes signify nothing but natural fracturing, a rather mundane process when the granite series cracks into geometric patterns with time. Yet to an expectant visitor observing the wall, those orderly tiers feel far too precise. It intuitively feels like not geology, but construction on the largest scale. Could nature create something so close to a human architect's handiwork? Could this be the thumbprint of an aboriginal, long-lost civilization? This increases the allure of secrecy behind its discovery. For thousands of years, the wall was buried beneath forest debris and soil. It was not uncovered by archaeologists or research teams. It was opened up by ordinary landowners far more interested in clearing trails. That fuels speculation. If one wall remained buried until now, what other walls are hidden away in Montana's forests and mountains? Is this perhaps only a piece of a larger puzzle? Today, Sage Wall stands as a paradox. To the geologists, it is a natural face fractured through time. Others view it as possible evidence for North America's first megalithic structure, one to match the likes of what can be found in Peru, Egypt, or Greece. Be it natural or man-made, its sheer size and precision leave little room for common explanation. One thing, however, is without doubt: this wall should not exist where it does, and yet it does, and it needs an explanation. And as shocking as the scale may be, it's the details on the stone faces, the knobs, grooves, and strange markings that truly blur the line between geology and lost engineering. Knobs, grooves, and echoes. The Sage Wall is more than stacked granite blocks. It holds details that echo some of the world's most mysterious megaliths. Walk close to its face and you'll notice small rounded protrusions jutting from otherwise flat stone. Researchers call them knobs. At first glance, they seem like imperfections, but anyone familiar with ancient stonework knows they're more than that. In Peru's Sacsayhuaman, the largest stones bear similar knobs, placed as though the builders wanted them seen. In Egypt, blocks at Karnak and in pyramid complexes show the same bulb-like features. Even in India and China, knobs appear on enormous carved stones, repeated too consistently across continents to dismiss lightly. Why, then, do they also appear in Montana? Geologists argue they're simply harder minerals resisting erosion. Yet their uncanny resemblance to global megalithic signatures sparks a larger question. Are we seeing evidence of a universal building tradition that somehow spanned oceans and epochs? Knobs are only the beginning. Look closely at Sage Wall and you'll find straight grooves etched into the granite, some horizontal, others cutting downward. Geologists explain them as mineral veins or channels carved by water. But to the human eye, their straightness is unnerving, like faint tool marks. In certain places, explorers have noted channels along slopes that look designed to direct water, as if the wall once played a functional or ritual role. Natural coincidence? Possibly. But details like these are what fuel the debate. Sage Wall doesn't just look like a wall, it looks like a wall that has been worked. Then there are the cup marks, small circular impressions into stone present at sites across Europe, Asia, and South America. Some of these date back tens of thousands of years, with their meanings still being discussed: grinding surfaces, ritual vessels, or celestial markers. Here at Sage Wall, we find cup marks appearing in patterns that are strikingly similar to those found in Peru or in the British Isles. If these patterns were made through natural processes, then nature must have imitated not just architecture but one of the most ancient symbolic traditions of humankind. But the echoes do not stop here. Visitors describe blocks having squared grooves reminiscent of the ones at Karnak, or comparing them to Japanese or Greek megaliths. Each new photo or drone shot brings assurance that Sage Wall belongs to a much larger global puzzle. Are these parallels proof of ancient contact or simply independent cultures solving similar problems in stone? Either way, mind-blowing. The skeptics attribute this to the well-known truth about human eyes: pattern-seeking machines. Indeed, odd-looking hard nodes could be perceived as knobs, continuous fractures as tool scores, or natural hollows as cup marks. But then even they would give up and concede that the resemblance is disturbing. It is one thing for anomalies to exist, it is another for them to exhibit traditions known from confirmed megalithic sites across the world. The present artificial constructs of knobs, grooves, and cup marks become traces of bygone builders for those scarce enough to consider human hands. Besides, much like many ancient locations, the function and symbolism might have mixed in one place. Therefore, knobs could have been used to lift, grooves to drain water, or cup marks to align with stars. Right in front of the Sage Wall, tourists stand at the confluence of two interpretations: the hand of geology over countless ages, or mourning voices of a civilization obscured from history. If the anomalies stand as natural, let one consider it an exemplary geological illusion. If made by human hand, then stone unites Montana with Peru, Egypt, and yet for every strange knob and groove, there is a voice ready to dismiss it as geology. To understand why skeptics stand so firmly against the man-made theory, we need to descend into the very bones of Montana itself, the boulder batholith. Skeptics and the batholith. For every photograph that seems to prove Sage Wall was engineered, there is a geologist ready to argue the opposite. To skeptics, what rises in Montana is not the handiwork of a forgotten civilization but a natural masterpiece of geology. Their explanation rests on one of the state's defining features: the boulder batholith. Spanning hundreds of square miles, this vast granite formation was born in the late Cretaceous when molten magma cooled deep underground. Over millions of years, uplift and erosion exposed it, and tectonic stress fractured the granite into blocky patterns. What looks like ancient engineering, skeptics say, is nothing more than granite revealing its natural fingerprint. The process is straightforward. As granite cools, it contracts and forms joints, cracks that divide the rock into large sections. Frost, water, and roots widen these joints, shaping cliffs that often resemble stacked blocks. In some areas, these fractures even form straight lines and polygons, mimicking masonry. Geologists call this joint-controlled topography. Around the world, such formations have fooled explorers into believing they had discovered ruins. The boulder batholith, they argue, simply holds one of the most convincing illusions in North America. One of the strongest points in their case is the way cracks at Sage Wall run continuously from top to bottom. Human masons avoid this because aligned vertical seams weaken a wall. Instead, blocks are staggered for stability. At Sage Wall, however, long seams extend without interruption, a hallmark of natural fracturing. To skeptics, this is the telltale sign that nature, not humans, shaped the wall. The resemblance to stonework exists only because people want to see it. The anomalies of the wall follow suit. Geologists say the bulges in the Nobis are places where harder minerals resisted erosion so that small little bulges continue to exist. Straight grooves, they claim, could also be formed through water cutting along the mineral veins, which produce lines resembling tool marks. Even cup marks could result from cryoturbation or differential weathering.